Hi there and welcome in. This is our first episode, so we're going to try to get through it the best we can with not as much planning because Britt and I don't do a good job of planning sometimes. We scramble. I do anyway. Last second, you're giving me weird faces. But anyway, I'm Chad Anderson. This is Brittany. You should know that if you're listening to this because somehow you clicked on one of our profile pages and we're not random strangers to you most likely. So thanks for joining us. We're going to call this the Britt and Chad Show for now until somebody gives us a better name.
I think that has a good ring to it.
Yeah, I imagine you would vote one-sided on that. This is not a bipartisan agreement here. So, but anyway, welcome in. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I am super excited to kick off this show. I think that, when Chad and I decided to do this together, I think it was really the idea to do something where we could connect on a weekly basis with each other because we're both super busy and a lot of times we don't have the opportunity to connect as much as we'd like during the week, but also to build connection with all of you. I think that the things that we are going through as parents of little kids and working professionals and people navigating the crazy world, both with the pandemic and just everything that's gone on, especially in the last couple of years, like we can all really relate to these stories, and we really wanted to be able to share what's going on with us, how we're navigating things, and really hear from all of you.
Yeah, so to give you an idea on what this show is going to look like, be about, etc. We kind of just thought this would be cool. By the way, this is our second take because, amateur over here. I didn't have it all set up the way it should have been the first time around. So we got 3 minutes in on the first take and botched it.
Isn't your degree in this stuff? Is that not what your undergraduate degree? Okay, so that makes me feel a little bit
and it's
better.
why I'm not in that field anymore. So so it's going to be fun though because we're going to talk about our lives, kind of our story. And one thing I have learned, because we both have been more active, especially me in the last year. Brittany was doing videos before I was consistently, and over the last year and a half done more and more and more of this kind of stuff. And it's amazing how just stories sell to everyone. Everybody wants to hear everybody else's story, whether you may think that or not. That's really what draws people in, is hearing stories and being relatable and understanding that others may be going through certain things, or you may look at people and say, oh my gosh, those people look like they're pulling their hair out, or holy crap, those people have it together, but you don't really know what's going on under the surface and what life is like, what's going through their heads, what they're dealing with, because we've all dealt with a lot in the last, what are we at now, 18, 19 months, something like that. So it's been a very big roller coaster.
Yeah, and more than ever, we are looking at each other through social media, through that lens. You're really not getting the full picture of what's going on. You're just getting this snapshot. And I think that has really been our way to connect with each other over the last 18 months, especially, back when we really couldn't see each other in person. We really relied on social media to be that source of kind of keeping up with each other. And the truth is, that's not reality. So I would love for this show to be about really going under the surface and learning the true story, the real side of what's going on with people, how they're navigating life, and not just seeing these pretty pictures that we all get so caught up on when we follow people on social media.
So here are some things to expect, some topics. You can expect me to be the smartass of the two the whole time, every episode through however many seasons we do. But we broke this down actually on a beach trip a few months ago, and randomly thought, see so many podcasts out there now, but I don't know of that many where it's husbands, wives doing one together and sharing and doing some family type stuff along with personal individual pieces of it. So we're going to talk about health, because if you know us at all, we've done home births, attempted 2, completed 1. Talk about our health, my journey. I'm completely different body type, style, mindset from when we first met. the eating that used to happen versus today. It's night and day. And then doing some other things like traditional medicines, holistic approaches. We went through a miscarriage not a few years ago. It's been several years now, before Nash was born. So we're going to talk about all those. We're going to talk about kids. We're going to talk about travel. We're going to talk about traveling with kids, which is
something, isn't it? Yeah, it's really, really something.
That's the best way to put it. And we're not on TSA's watch list somehow, but we've made it. Jobs, money, financial, education, different ways to approach that.
All our deep, dark secrets.
We won't really hold back either. I mean, I have it on my show, my other podcast stuff, so we don't plan on to here. Cultures. And then we've got a bucket for miscellaneous, which is talking about family deaths, pandemic life, personality tests, date nights, all these different things that we're going to dive into over however long this goes and however long you guys want it to go. And hopefully you engage with us and share your stories, because that will really inspire us and help us keep it going. Plus, we just love interacting and hearing about that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think, Chad and I have very different careers. Obviously, he's in the mortgage industry and very numbers-oriented, systems and tasks-oriented. I'm in the healthcare industry, but I, really love the holistic and even the spiritual side of healing and medicine. And so we have very, very different areas of interest and expertise. And I think that's going to bring an interesting flavor to this, especially, when he tries to talk to me about mortgages, my eyes kind of glaze over, and I'm sure the same thing when I'm trying to talk to him about, the stuff that I'm doing in my clinical practice around women's fertility. So I think that that's going to definitely add some interest.
Because I want to know everything. I want to know all the things about women's fertility. That's what I wake up looking for every morning.
I was just proud of you for saying that we attempted a couple of home births. I think that's we've come a long way if you're saying we versus, Brittany attempted a couple of home births. That was big. So
I did nothing, by the way. I hit the play button on the music and lit a candle. That's pretty much all I did. Except for the third one. I put on, I think, maybe Scooby-Doo or PJ Masks for Nash and Gray, and then just sat at the kitchen table and worried about when Locke was going to come and what time Alabama kicked off that night.
Yeah, we're going to get into all of that. But just to give you guys a little idea of the topics we'll be covering, we really, like Chad said, we're gonna go into pretty much everything. And of course, we'll talk about some of the things that we have some expertise in, but we also want to navigate topics where we are still trying to figure it out. We're still trying to figure out how to be parents. We've got 3 kids under 5. Crazy. We're still trying to navigate a lot of things in our life, and so we want to bring you in on that journey, what's working for us, what's not working for us, and kind of where we are looking for more answers, looking to explore a little bit further.
So it's interesting we're doing this, we're recording this today. I actually don't know what exact day it's going to be released, but today is October the 4th. Tomorrow is our 9-year wedding anniversary. So happy anniversary to us. Mm-hmm. Going out for dinner tomorrow night. We have a funny story just about that in general, and that our anniversary or our honeymoon was to Thailand, which is amazing. I don't know if I'd recommend going there right now, but it was amazing. And if things get normal, I recommend that being on your list at some point.
We decided to go there because we were thinking about, okay, where's the furthest place away that we could possibly go?
What's crazy?
What's crazy, and where we probably wouldn't go when we had little kids, because I don't feel like I would want to go halfway across the world, because it is exactly 12 hours away, right?
It's 12-hour time difference.
Right.
Yeah.
We knew we wouldn't likely do that once we started having kids, so we figured we better get that out of the way with the honeymoon.
And to give you an idea of the time travel there, when we left our hotel, so we leave a Marriott in Bangkok, get in the cab, from when we got in that cab to go to the airport to when we pull into our driveway in Franklin at the time, it was 31 and a half hours. Okay? Just to give you an idea, that is 3 airports, 2 layovers, 31 hours, because it's Bangkok to Seoul, South Korea, to Chicago, to Nashville. So just be prepared. And today you have to wear a mask if you did that.
Oh,
so
gosh.
be extra prepared.
I don't even know at this point, and I mean, I'm 35 years old. It's not like I'm ancient, but I don't think I could do that again. We were 26.
I took Benadryl.
I gave you all the drugs. Yeah, I was like all about the drugs, I guess, back then. I gave you, I don't even remember what I gave you, but I gave you multiple things, and I feel like we both slept. Now, granted, we left on like a Monday, right? Wedding was on
it was
Friday.
on a Sunday.
Okay, so wedding was on Friday. You know, we still partied with friends on Saturday, and I mean, people partied hard at our wedding. So then Sunday, yeah, I mean, by the time we got on the airplane, we were so exhausted from everything that had kind of gone on, you know, leading up to that I think we were able to sleep pretty well on those flights. But yes, with the help of some Benadryl for sure.
Chicago to Korea is 13 and a half hours. I slept for about the first 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But then it's still another 6 or 7. It's like, oh my God.
And then you
What
get
am I
to
gonna do?
Korea and it's like 5, right?
Yeah,
Something
it's
like
5 from Korea to Thailand. Yeah, so it was not easy. The funny thing too, since we're in football season, talking about weddings. So I still am this way, by the way. We got married, Brittany mentioned, on a Friday. And the reason we did that is because it's football season. And it's a sin to get married on Saturday.
Okay, but also I'm sorry for all of you, you know, who decide to have summer weddings in the South. Like, God bless you, but it is so freaking hot and humid. I did not want to have makeup melting down my face. I didn't want to be sweating in my wedding dress. Like, I wanted to have a beautiful fall outdoor wedding with that crisp, cool air, with the pumpkins, with the whole thing. And so yes, my compromise was to get married on a Friday night. But the benefit of that is that we got married at 5 p.m. on Friday night. And so people really had to love us if they wanted to be there, because that meant that they had to leave work, navigate traffic, like do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up with like the exact right number of people, in my opinion.
Yeah. It was a great wedding too, by the way. Brittany planned the whole thing, and it was fantastic. I still have people tell me to this day that was the best party that they've ever been to. It got a little out of hand at times, but it was funny too, watching the California culture where Brittany is from.
Yes.
Mixed with the Southern Tennessee and Alabama culture that we have, and being married at a plantation. So it was really kind of cool and sometimes awkward to watch the combination, like I said, of the two different cultures coming together.
Well, I think those Jack and Coke slushies really helped bring people together.
It lubed up the dance floor for sure. Yeah,
that is for sure. We had a great band. That's one thing we really wanted. We wanted a live band, and it was a really great call. I still can't believe I planned our whole wedding. It was quite an undertaking whilst in grad school, but it really turned out.
Yeah, we
awesome.
like to put more on our plates than normal, if you can't tell.
This is true.
Like wedding and grad school. So yeah, we're notorious for kind of piling it on. You wanted to talk about words of wisdom. So what would be words of wisdom right now? 9 years we've been together. What, almost 12?
Almost 12.
In February it'll be 12 from a first date perspective. Tomorrow 9 married. So words of wisdom. You had stats. You're like a baseball junkie. You pulled out stats for this.
I was just curious because I'll probably be sharing more about this in episodes to come, but I'm in the middle of writing a book, and I was writing a chapter on conscious conception. So making the choice to go into parenthood well prepared and really do it with intention. And one of the stats that I found is that 67% of couples experience a precipitous decline in marital satisfaction once they start having kids, particularly in those first 3 years when, the demands on you are so incredible when you've got this tiny human who needs you 24/7. You've got to do everything for them. And so, of course, partners feel neglected. There's not a lot of time to, even have a conversation, to spend any one-on-one time. And it's really challenging. So I thought that was interesting. And so then I was just kind of curious about what the current divorce rate and stats and all that are. So, the average length of a marriage in the United States is 8.2 years. I thought that was interesting. So we've made it. We're above average. That's cool. Divorce rates are actually declining, even though the U.S. has some of the highest divorce rates in the world. They are actually declining. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Did divorce rates go up during COVID?
I didn't actually look at that stat, but what I thought was interesting is that...
Didn't we have fewer births?
We had fewer births.
That's interesting.
But think about it.
If you're at home all day, can't go anywhere, what are you going to do?
This is true. So I think that people who were relatively well off, yes, they got to stay home. I will say in our clinic, last year, we had so many pregnancies, particularly pregnancies. I work with patients going through infertility. So we had all kinds of pregnancies that just randomly happened without the need for any, medical technology or advanced treatment because yes, they were home. They weren't stuck in an office. They weren't dealing with all those kinds of stresses.
I was going to say, were there fewer births because there were fewer affairs?
Oh, God. Jeez. No, but there were fewer. Think about the economic stresses. I can't even imagine, for people who were already struggling or who then ended up losing their job, bringing a baby into the world is not going to help that situation. So, yeah, we saw a pretty steady decline overall in birth rate. And now I completely got lost on what I was originally talking about.
Sorry, I'm bad about doing that to people.
Well, no, we were talking about the divorce rate.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. So as far as longevity of marriages, New York State actually has some of the longest marriages. And I think it's Oklahoma that has the highest divorce rate. Kind of random.
What are the Sooners doing out there?
I'm not really sure. I didn't really see where Tennessee fell and all that, but I thought those stats were interesting. So, like I said, we're above average. I think that for me, words of wisdom, I think we are both incredibly stubborn. I have said this over and over. We created an incredibly stubborn firstborn. Good Lord, we're both firstborn.
Yeah. We think something may be wrong with him, kind of thing.
I'm not sure there's not something wrong with you. You are the most stubborn person I've ever met until we had our son. I think that's definitely true.
If you're gonna do something, be good at it. Okay.
Amen. But I will say, I think that not allowing things to fester, communication is so important. I think that speaking to each other in a respectful tone and always maintaining that to the best of our ability is really important. And I think for me, one of the most important things, both as I became a mom and then also just to be a better partner, is to find ways to create a little space between stimulus and response. So this is a concept in mindfulness where, instead of immediately reacting to something that upsets you, try to take a breath, try to pause, and then react. And I think that has really allowed me to stay cool in times when things are frustrating, especially when, we kind of can get upset or annoyed with each other because of everything that's going on with the kids. And so, those are my two things, take a pause before you react, and then just try to really communicate your needs, things that are upsetting you, and try not to be so freaking reactive.
Yeah, I would say when we're talking about kids, so growing up in the South, and a lot of people probably can relate to this if you're from the South, spankings are normal. That is the way of life. I was spanked growing up. I think I'm better because of it. There's a difference in hitting and spanking. But we literally would get the belt. And again, I actually don't have problems with that. People may hate me for that. They may think, oh, it's 2021, you can't do that. Look, all I know is when we did that, we turned out pretty normal. I would say when you're looking at a grand scale, you can make fun of us and take some jabs or whatever, but I think we turned out pretty normal and we had that. I'm not saying it's what everybody should do. I think every situation should be treated, in its own way. according to the circumstances. But I will say that one thing I've really tried to do is, yes, I'm bad about being reactive. But I would try to, one, when I get angry, actually talk to them. But then sometimes I think where you go wrong is when the reaction is the spanking, then that's bad. I think if you talk first and give warnings and then make them understand this is what's going to happen if this continues, and then that turns into a spanking because it's not getting any better, that I don't mean go abuse your kid. I hope people are kind of following me on this, but I think that's more appropriate and okay if you want to go there. I'm not going to judge you if you go there. And if you don't want to go there, that's okay too. That's one thing. I believe everybody has their own thoughts and ways, and there's not going to be a perfect way or 100% right way in every single situation. The other thing I would say, because I've gotten so busy with work and the mortgage career, Brittany works, we put a lot on our plates. I still want to make time for things like golf or travel or watching football, whatever the case may be. But so many times I get so worked up and involved with other things, or sometimes you kind of, I can't wait for this day, or I can't wait for this to happen in my life, or I can't wait to, whatever, retire, or can't wait to go here, can't wait to do this, or can't wait until the kids are older. And maybe it's because in my family, I actually had like 0 deaths for a really long time. Like my great grandmother died in 2002. And I think after that, I didn't really have a single death until Brittany's dad passed 2 years ago. And then after that happened, my other great grandmother, who was 100, passed away. Shortly after that, my grandfather passed away. I did have one other grandfather pass away in that time frame, but I would just say I've tried to do a better job of living in the moment or living in the present and not wanting to rush time. Which it's funny because you tell a 23-year-old that or a 15-year-old that, they're not going to listen. You can tell them that all day long. They won't understand. They won't listen. They won't take it. It's just something that I think naturally happens as you get older. But anyway, those are my 2 on words of wisdom.
There's a lot there. There's really a lot there. I mean, I think you kind of echoed the same thing as me, as not being so reactive, like having that moment to pause or, not just like immediately going to the spank. I mean, I'm not real big on the spanking. I definitely was spanked as a kid. My dad was definitely the disciplinarian, and I actually really didn't like my dad until I was basically a teenager. And I remember my mom told me to stand up to him. I think I was like 13 years old. She said, stand up to him and he's going to respect you. And then from then on, we had a completely different relationship. But I can still remember being, 5, I didn't get spanked a lot, but I can remember being 5 or 6 years old, and I think I threatened to run away. So I ran away to the front porch. I packed my little pink backpack and had some toys and some snacks. And I, sat on the front porch for 10 minutes and then came back in. And my dad spanked my butt. So, I mean, I still remember that. And so I think that that's probably not okay, that I can still so vividly remember that. And so my hope for our kids is that we don't have to resort to being physical with them. I want to model for them what it
I'll
looks
get
like.
physical.
Yeah, I get it. But I want to model for them what it looks like to be angry, but to come to your breath and be in your body and process that and then have a more constructive reaction. I think that's really important. And so I would like to do it a little bit different. I mean, I think my mom maybe smacked my face one time. But I remember my dad coming at me. And sometimes he would just grab the belt and snap it. And I still don't think that's okay. I mean, I was raised that way too, but I want something different for our kids. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to lose my temper and just lose my absolute shit with them. But I'm hoping to do it a little bit different.
By the way, you got to lean in a little closer just to get the levels right.
Gotcha.
Thanks,
dear.
The audio quality hopefully will be better next time. We only had one mic, so see, we're sharing. This is what couples do. We share.
Heaven forbid you have to sit close to me,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember a funny story. So my brother Clay, we lived with my grandparents after my parents got divorced. This was 95, 96, somewhere in there. And I remember Clay getting in trouble. And my granddad took him into the bedroom and had him, sit down on the bench, talk to him. And then he leaned over the bed and he popped him with the belt. And Clay, I was always terrified of getting spankings, but I used to be more of a rule follower. Now I'm more of a forgiveness, not permission guy. And Clay, though, got popped once, and Clay decided to turn around and look at my granddad and say, "Is that the best you're going to do?" Or something to that effect. And I just remember after that hearing the howls coming out of the bedroom from that one. But you look back now, it's a hilarious story. But what do you do if you're the granddad in that situation? Like you're completely screwed. It's a rock and a hard place because Nash turns around, talks back, and what do you do? It's like you let him get away with it, or
I just don't think that's an effective strategy. I think then we talk about
25 years ago.
I get that, but now I don't find that to be an effective strategy. Maybe we talk about okay, if you're not listening, here are going to be the consequences. Maybe, he freaking loves his little police truck more than life itself. Putting that thing in timeout lately has been gold. So I feel like, I don't know, spankings, sometimes it's the easy way out. It really is.
Can be.
Well, sitting there and having a conversation with a 5-year-old, it takes time. It takes everything in your being to stay calm. That's a lot of work. It really is. So, I think spanking's the easy way out.
Yeah. So to kind of give you a quick background too on what life looks like for us so that you understand in episodes going forward. And we'll bring these back up and rehash a little bit. But so we have 3 kids. Nash is 5. Grady just turned 4. Locke is just turned 1 last week. We did their names. We were very careful when we picked the names. We liked the name Nash, but we actually call him Nash, but he's named Samuel after Brittany's dad. And then Gray, or we'd call him Grady, is a nod to my great-grandfather, who I never met. He died in the 70s. But it's a family name on my side that nobody had used. So we thought that was kind of a cool name to go with. And then so it's Grady Brooks. Brooks has nothing with us. And then Anderson. Call him Gray. I nickname him 50 Shade. But that's what he goes by. And then Lachlan doesn't really have any, special significance as far as family
not
stuff.
As far as family.
No, that's what I'm talking about. But his middle name is Tate, which is my mom's side of the family. So we incorporated that there. And then, of course, my dad's side gets the trifecta because everybody's an Anderson.
This is true.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we broke it up. Nash and Gray. Well, Nash is in, what do you call it's kind of semi-private.
He's in a homeschool tutorial.
There you go. Whatever the official name is. So I just drop him off and pick him up every now and then when Brittany can't. That's it. Gray's in a daycare twice a week. We'll go to that same school, next year?
He'll go to Nash's school. Yep.
Yeah. And then we have, we love to travel. It's been harder, obviously, in the last 18, 19 months. But we travel, not kidding, with 3 kids and tons of luggage and golf bags
and car seats.
And there was a time I'm going through the airport. I think I have 6 different things attached to me in some way, shape, or form. And we do it. And I look at it as I'm not going to miss out on life. I'm not just going to sit at home, only go anywhere that's a 2 to 3, 4 hour drive. We're going to go travel and do our thing. So we go to Hawaii. We go to California. We go to the beach. We go to Disney World. We do all those things. And we would do more if, certain areas were more open. But depending on rules and lockdowns and, what you can and can't do in certain places, will, kind of dictates your travel at the moment. But we'll go into some of those. We have 3 dogs. I'm a huge dog lover. Brittany used to be.
Yeah, they've really taken a backseat to the kids. I just don't have the capacity is the problem.
The problem is we have two older dogs. I have one that was rescued from a puppy mill. He's 13. Call him Houndstooth because I went to Alabama. And my previous dog, RJ, stood for Rammer Jammer, and gave him to my grandmother. He died a few years ago. Houndstooth is 13, though. He's still doing pretty good. He has his moments. Lola is Brittany's dog from college, right?
Yes, she is.
13 as well.
My original baby.
Chihuahua. Yep, she's diabetic. She's on insulin. It's a lot of fun. She's about a 14-pound Chihuahua too.
She is not. She's lost weight.
Yeah,
it's coming. It's coming back, but she did originally lose some weight due to her condition. And then we've got Ivy because
Ivy's the champion.
I just thought that it would be great to add more to the mix. You know, Chad had wanted this very specific breed of dog for as long as I had known him, a wire hair pointing griffon. And so for his 30th birthday, I arranged this whole elaborate scheme. I found this breeder up in Michigan, the upper point of Michigan, who would sell her to us. I mean,
Marquette, Michigan. It is on the lake looking at Canada.
Yeah,
That's how far north it is.
It was quite an adventure to get her. And then I thought it would just be a really great idea to have 3 dogs. And this was actually before we had children. So
it was a year before.
Yeah.
Yep, a year before. Ivy, though, I mean, she is probably, Houndstooth's laying at our feet while we're doing this. She's the best dog. Like, she gets into some stuff or will steal a sandwich off the counter or something.
Or an avocado.
Or
a dozen eggs. Yeah, literally a dozen eggs, you guys.
She likes duck eggs. You know, who doesn't? But her temperament and around the kids and just demeanor and is fantastic. Like, could not ask for a better dog from that respect. Go ahead and admit it. I want everybody to hear it.
Absolutely
I want it official.
Not. For the first 3 years of her life, Ivy had a special affinity for my expensive sports bras, like my Lululemon, like $50 a pop sports bras, and she would just chew them to pieces. I think that her goal was to establish her dominance over me and to let me know that Chad was hers. And so she just went for all of my stuff. So Ivy and our relationship has come a long way. I do appreciate how well she does with the kiddos, but like I said, my capacity for taking care of more living creatures is greatly diminished now that we have 3 children. So there's that. But you know, bringing it back to, Chad was telling a funny story about our honeymoon in Thailand. So, of course, like he said, it was during football season. It's exactly a 12-hour time difference. And Chad decided that he was going to go watch football while we were at our hotel.
Let's set the whole scene.
Oh, okay.
So, college game day starts at 8 p.m. out there. It's 12 hours, so it's not Saturday morning, it's Saturday night. College game day is starting. So we went back to the room and took a nap. I did. And I got up about 10:30, final 30 minutes of game day. And then I gathered up everything we had bought. So I had like Thai chips, Thai beer, it's like food sandwiches, like a bunch of Thai random stuff from a convenience store. And I took a computer and an iPad, and the wireless wasn't great in the room. And remember, 9 years ago, wireless wasn't what wireless is today. So
and we're on an island in Thailand, okay? So
still,
this little bungalow on the beach.
So I go and sit in this outdoor lobby at the front of the hotel, and it's just myself and this clerk, desk person, and she looks at me, she's like, "You need anything?" I'm like, "No, I'll be over here." And she didn't understand. And like, "I'm good. I'll just be right here. I'm sure I'm not going to disturb anybody." So I pull up my iPad and my laptop and sit there and stream 2 football games all day long. I was there from 11 p.m. all the way through about 7 a.m. Bama kicked off at 2:30 in the morning in Thailand. And I remember like the last game we were eating breakfast and I was watching LSU play South Carolina while we were eating breakfast. But yeah, that was a really, really long night of trying to watch football. But yeah, and then you couldn't find me.
Yeah, so I get up the next morning. I mean, I was so dead from that time change. It took us a long time to acclimate. It was pretty rough. So anyway, I get up the next morning to go and look for him. Can't find him anywhere. He's not in the lobby. And this was a small hotel. It was like, what, 16 little bungalows?
16
Like, it was
bungalows,
tiny. So it's not like there were a lot of places that he could go. And so I'm like starting to panic because I'm thinking, oh my God, he got kidnapped. I don't know, sex trafficked. I have no idea what's happening. Can't find him anywhere. And I'm in this foreign country. Like, what am I going to do? And eventually he did. Where were you? I don't even know where you were.
I went to the bathroom. All I did was go to the bathroom down the hall. It was a long way from the lobby, but I went to the bathroom. It was actually out by the pool. But I did that because it was shorter than going back to the bungalow and didn't want to wake you up. So.
Well, that was really kind of you. But anyway, a little bit of a panic attack there.
I was also worried the whole time we were there because Thailand has more snakes per square mile or something than any country in the world.
You guys should know that Chad has an irrational fear of snakes, and so our agreement in this house is that he's in charge of the spiders and I'm in charge of the snakes, which granted we've like never seen a snake here. But we've got all kinds of spiders, so
do spiders all day. Yeah, I'm good with that. Spiders, wasps, bees, I'm fine with that. Snakes, no arms, no shoulders, just on your belly. That's weird. No thanks.
Irrational fear of snakes. I mean, I don't like snakes either, but it's not the level that you have.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up here. Episode 1. Hope you enjoyed it. Made you laugh a little, learned a little, took away a couple of things. We're gonna get into though. This was more of just a general intro foundation type episode. Let you guys know what we're doing, what we're going to talk about. So I don't even know where we're gonna put this yet. Apple, Spotify, YouTube.
I mean, all the channels, obviously.
Yeah, I guess anything and everything. And hopefully it'll be something that's easy for you to access. But please follow us along. Comment with us, interact with us, shoot us a direct message or an email. Let us know what you would like to hear, things you want us to elaborate on more, maybe go a little bit deeper, questions you may have. Like I said, think of it as just a giant online social community, whether we know you in person or don't, where we can just share stories, engage, and have some fun with it. So that's really it. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun series.
Yeah, thanks you guys for tuning in, and we look forward to hearing from you.
All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks for being a part of the show, and we'll see you for episode 2. Take care.